Late Night Health continues. I'm Mark Allen, along with the insane Daryl Wayne. I am really honored and pleased to be able to talk to this our next guest. His name is Bill Marx. Bill, I've known Bill for over 30 years. He may not remember, but I do. He actually, when I was running a radio station, Bill did a jazz program once a week for us at the station, and he continues today to be a top jazz pianist, and I've heard him play numerous times. He's phenomenal. I've seen him appear on stage in a I guess you wrote that play about your dad, Harpo, didn't you, Bill?
Worked with a lady by the name of Carol McLaughlin, and we toured for 5 years all over the United States of America and to the Republic for which it stands, and also Canada and Denmark.
Wow.
So we did a show about Dad, yes. It was a comedy concert for Columbia artists many years ago.
Yeah, the pleasure.
No wonder I could not remember.
Yeah, I get it. In recent times, Bill, you've met a young woman. Her name is Beatrice Angulo, and called Care Comes from the Heart, the unique story of Beatrice. Tell us about this book and how you decided to write it.
Well, about 2 years ago, my then now deceased wife was failing, and we were thinking of putting both of us in a rest home and all that kind of stuff. But we came across a caregiver quite by mistake, and decided to stay home. And this caregiver, among many that we interviewed, turned out to be one of the most special people I've ever known in my entire life. Her name is Beatrice Angulo, and she was unique. And she's my wife since has fallen by the wayside, but I've retained V to look after me. I sure need looking after. And her unique life has provoked me to write about it. And it's basically about caregiving, or the giving of care. And B is one of those few that takes caregiving not as a job, but as a calling. She's very special, and she has so many stories that I've put a number of these particular people that she's worked with and for into this book to show how you have to handle different personalities, different individuals with different problems. And she's just been totally remarkable for us. And the way I met her through a fellow, and we'd gone through a number of caregivers to try and help Barbara for the last year and a half of her life. And I was introduced to this lady. She knocked on the door. It was time for her interview. And I went to the door, and I thought, well, it reminded me of an old Groucho line from a Marx Brothers movie. The gates swung open, and a fig Newton walked in. But what happened was she was hardly a fig Newton. She was 6 feet tall, and hourglass figure, and just an absolutely charming person who I escorted into my wife's bedroom, where my wife was pretty much lived there. And the next thing you knew, they were bonded at the hip, And I thought, well, my goodness, this is a good opportunity for all of us. And ultimately, B became what I consider family. She looked after Barbara and gave Barbara a quality of life that she would never have had in the last year and a half. She looked after Barbara so beautifully, and as she has done with so many, many people, it turns out that, good grief, she's worked with the most unusual human beings in a way. So I decided to write a story about her life as a caregiver, and some of the anecdotes. It's the entire thing. The entire book is basically vignettes of people that she's worked for, and there's very little preachy about caregiving, but it's something that we're all going to need one of these days. Somehow, I didn't realize, but I was caregiving my wife for the last 8 years of our life. I didn't realize it. I thought I was just being a husband. But when you start to look after somebody seriously to the point where they can't look after themselves, I realized that it was a very stressful situation, and
Bill?
Suddenly had a triple bypass. Not understanding why. And so we went out and we found somebody for Barbara to take over my responsibilities. And she's just the most wonderful person. And I wanted the 12 people that are going to read this book to appreciate B as I do, because she's got a great sense of humor. And she's a good looker too, I might add. So that's the background of my reason for writing the book. The other reason for writing the book is that I didn't know what to do with myself when the COVID-19 started. So I had to do something, and I decided to write this book. So it's because of our pandemic, or pandemic, whichever you prefer.
Right. Well, I know that caregivers come in all sizes, shapes, and flavors. There are good ones, and there are ones that are not so good. We just have a moment or two left, and I want to mention right now, Care Comes from the Heart, the unique story of Beatrice Angulo. It's available on Amazon. So go to Amazon.com, type in Care Comes from the Heart, and you'll see the book. It's something that I think everybody should read. More than 12 people will buy this book. I know they will. Bill, in 30 seconds, do you think that the care part coming from the heart it's a gift to other people, is it not? When you're caring for somebody you love, or when you, as you say, become a part of the family, as Beatrice has for you.
Being a caregiver is not easy to begin with. There are a lot of conditions that you are constantly confronted with that you never knew you would have, because each person is a different personality. I mean, not only a person, but different products of life. She's worked with a 700-pound man. She's worked for a lady who believed in the spiritually that black magic. She's worked. I mean, these are fascinating stories, and you have to want to care for people. As I said earlier, it's not a job; it's a calling. And you got to take the good, and you have to be a good care forgiver for people that you're dealing with that are not easy people to look after. So,
Bill, let me. We've got to wrap up here. Will you come back in a couple of weeks? Can we continue this?
Why we have that desire to look after people. Some people do, and some people can't. But it is the most rewarding emotionally of all jobs you can imagine. Sooner or later, we're either going to be taken care of, or somebody's going to take care of us.
Yeah, exactly. Bill, we're out of time, but I'm going to have you come back, okay? In about 2 weeks, maybe 3 weeks. Will you come back and talk longer?
My pleasure, and it's great to reunite with you. It's been a long time, and I can't remember whether 30 years ago I owed you money or you owed me money.
We'll have to figure that one out. Okay.
Yeah, figure it
Bill,
out, and we'll talk in 2 or 3 weeks.
Right, we'll figure it out. Bill Marx, our guest. Care Comes from the Heart. Go to Amazon. Take a look. I'm Mark Allen, along with the insane Daryl Wayne. We'll be back.